Danny and Vic, two former convicts, decide to get rich quickly. To achieve this, they devise a kidnapping plan and choose Alice Creed as their victim, the only daughter of a wealthy businessman willing to pay a hefty ransom for her release. Before carrying out the abduction, Danny and Vic meticulously prepare for the crime. They purchase all the necessary equipment and steal a van, changing its license plates and modifying it for the kidnapping. The criminals rent an apartment and set it up as well, sealing the windows, buying a bed and soundproofing the room where they will keep the girl. Sticking strictly to their plan, Danny and Vic successfully kidnap Alice and take her to the rented apartment. After tying her up, they cut off her clothes and take several photos with a fresh newspaper to confirm the reality and date of the abduction. They then dress her in a tracksuit and dispose of all evidence that could lead back to them, celebrating the successful completion of the first stage. A little later, Vic leaves to contact Alice's father and send him a message with the girl's photos and their demands. They are willing to release her for €2 million and warn him not to involve the police. When Vic returns to the apartment, the criminals wear masks to prevent Alice from recognizing them. Handling their hostage carefully, they try to give her water and establish rules for her captivity. Alice attempts to outsmart them by biting one of the kidnappers, hoping to start screaming for help, but she is immediately slapped in the face. Vic reminds her that no one will come to her aid and that they are the only ones who control her fate. He also instructs her to signal if she needs to use the bathroom, as they have no intention of changing her clothes or bedding. In the evening, Danny and Vic sit down for dinner, but Danny has no appetite. Under stress, Vic forces his partner to eat, warning that otherwise, he might start regretting their actions and feeling guilty, which could jeopardize their plan. Later, Danny checks on Alice and sees her signaling that she needs to use the bathroom. Learning that she only needs to urinate, Vic orders Danny to bring a plastic container and remove her pants. The girl feels extremely uncomfortable in such conditions, but she has no choice. She is a hostage, and hoping for better treatment or conditions is pointless. Soon Vic leaves again to contact the girl's father and find out if he has accepted their terms. Meanwhile, Danny looks through the photos of Alice and begins to feel guilty. He goes to her room to check on her condition and attempts to touch her, but the frightened beauty recoils from him with her behavior. When Vic returns, he reports that he spoke with Alice's father but heard a distinct clicking sound. The criminals realize the police were tapping their conversation, but Vic is confident that it won't interfere with their plan. To make the situation more convincing, Vic suggests recording a video where Alice begs her father to hand over the money and not do anything foolish. Alice refuses to follow the script, prompting Danny to threaten her with a knife while Vic warns that he will pull the trigger. Realizing that the kidnappers aren't bluffing, Alice complies with all their demands. The next day, Vic leaves again to send the video to Alice's father, in which she desperately pleads for him to pay the ransom. Meanwhile, Danny visits Alice again and sees her signaling something special. This time, she needs to use the bathroom for a more serious reason. He replaces the plastic container with a bucket. Freeing her legs and one hand, he allows her to do her business. However, Alice is too uncomfortable with him watching and asks him to turn around. Danny turns his back but stands too close, giving Alice an opportunity. She strikes him on the head, seizes his gun, and threatens him before firing a shot next to his head. Realizing that she is willing to shoot him, Danny removes his mask, shocking her. It turns out that Danny is Alice's ex-boyfriend, whom she dated before he went to prison. Danny tries to convince her that everything happening is part of a carefully planned scheme and that she is not a victim. He deliberately chose her for the kidnapping and manipulated the situation so that Vic approved Alice as the target. She was the perfect choice, and Vic agreed to the plan without knowing that Danny and Alice had a past. Danny begs her to trust him, promising that they will split the money and escape abroad together to start a new life, far away from her stingy father. Alice struggles to believe Danny's story, but at that moment, Vic returns and knocks on the door. Realizing that escape is impossible, Alice hands the gun back to Danny and, trusting her ex-boyfriend, allows herself to be tied up again. Vic panics and grows nervous because his partner took too long to open the door. Danny partially tells the truth, saying that Alice needed to use the bathroom, but he hides the conflict that occurred between them and their secret agreement. That evening, Danny goes to bed to regain his strength for another grueling day. In the morning, it turns out that Vic wasn't on watch duty. He had fallen asleep as well, meaning no one checked on Alice. When they enter the bedroom, the criminals panic for a moment because Alice isn't moving, but she is fine. A little later, Vic prepares soup for her and feeds her with a spoon. At that moment, Danny notices a bullet casing lying near her bed, realizing it is evidence that could expose them. He tries to discreetly pick it up, but his behavior appears suspicious. After Alice finishes eating, Vic adjusts her handcuffs, causing the plate to fall to the floor. Seizing his last chance, Danny quickly grabs the spoon and the bullet casing to hide the evidence. After breakfast, Danny heads to the bathroom and attempts to flush the bullet casing down the toilet, but it doesn't work. Flushing multiple times only raises Vic's suspicion, prompting him to check the bathroom. Realizing that his partner is about to barge in and that he can't get rid of the casing, Danny makes a desperate decision. He swallows it. Vic eyes him suspiciously, refusing to believe that Danny simply used the toilet. Danny insists that Vic is being paranoid and reassures him that everything is fine and going according to plan. He casually chews gum, but Vic assumes it's just stress, never suspecting the real reason. Trying to comfort his partner, who is also his lover, Vic promises that in just a week, they will be relaxing at a resort, spending their days together. As soon as Vic leaves to contact Alice's father, Danny rushes to the captive and partially frees her. Alice asks him to remove the remaining handcuffs, but he doesn't fully trust her. She proves she can be trusted, reminding him that she believed his words the day before. Once completely free, Alice seduces Danny and suggests they make love. Taking advantage of his naivety, she swiftly cuffs him to the bed. She never believed his story and only wanted to escape, but she doesn't know how. She dashes to the reinforced metal door, only to realize it's impossible to open without the keys. Grabbing a phone, she calls the police, but she can't provide her location or identify her captors. The dispatcher informs her that it will take time to trace the call, but Alice knows Vic could return at any moment. Realizing she can only rely on herself, she grabs a gun and storms back into the room, demanding that Danny give her the keys to the metal door. Pleading with him proves useless, and Danny seems to give in, telling her the keys are in his suit. But this time, Danny outsmarts her. As soon as Alice moves closer, she makes a fatal mistake. Seizing the proximity, Danny wraps his leg around her neck and strangles her until she loses consciousness. He was never afraid she would shoot, he knew the gun was still on safety. Having tied up the girl again, Danny goes to the bathroom because he feels nauseous. He spits out a bullet, retrieves it from the toilet, and swallows it to dispose of the only piece of evidence. Vic returns to the apartment and announces that the kidnapping is nearing its end. Deciding to check on the girl, he starts to panic as Alice is unconscious and unresponsive. Danny worries that Alice will expose him. Once the girl regains consciousness, he encourages his friend and suggests finishing what they started to get the money and finally escape. Vic decides to prepare the girl for transportation and asks to bring the van while Danny obediently follows his accomplice's order. Vic discovers a phone that fell out of the girl's pocket. He beats and interrogates Alice, and also finds a bullet in the wall, realizing what happened here. He demands that she tell everything and learns that Danny and Alice know each other. The girl offers to take all the money and let her go, but Vic does not want to leave a living witness since she knows his name. When Danny returns to the apartment, Vic tries to have a heartfelt talk and subtly hints that he knows everything. Danny lies to his accomplice and does not confess what happened. No longer trusting Danny, Vic decides to finish what they started and transfer the girl to the hangar. The criminals inject her with a sedative, wrap her body in sheets, and move her to the van. Soon, they arrive at the destination and secure Alice's hands and neck so she can't move. Previously, they agreed that Danny would watch the girl, but now the plans have changed. Vic takes the second set of handcuff keys and asks to go for the money together. Vic and Danny head to the forest and navigate by coordinates. They soon find the place where Alice's father was supposed to leave the ransom. Vic hides further away and asks his partner to check a hole under a tree to make sure the girl's father hasn't deceived them. Danny moves cautiously, fearing the police might be nearby, but the forest is empty. To his disappointment, there is no money in the hiding place. Suddenly, Vic unexpectedly confesses that he gave the girl's father different coordinates, and this hole will become Danny's grave. The guy pleads with his friend not to shoot and swears his love, but realizes it won't stop him. Seizing the moment, Danny attacks Vic and gains a few seconds to escape. Vic cannot catch the traitor but shoots him in the back. Despite the injuries, Danny manages to hide and survive. Vic returns to his plan and secures €2 million. He disposes of the clothes, van and other evidence, then returns to the hangar. Vic does not want to leave any witnesses and decides to inject the girl with poison. At the last moment, an injured Danny appears on the scene. He threatens his friend with a weapon and, without hesitation, shoots him. Alice pleads to be freed, but it is not part of the plan. Telling the girl that she should have listened to him, Danny, taking the keys to the car with the money, leaves, abandoning Alice to her fate in the abandoned hangar. Fortunately, Vic survives and with his last strength, throws the keys toward the girl, then falls into an eternal sleep. Alice struggles to free herself and, exhausted, makes her way to the road. After a few kilometers, she finds the money and then notices a car. Denny has lost consciousness and is bleeding out, and within minutes, he dies. Pulling his corpse onto the road, Alice weeps bitterly, distressed by the whole situation and realizes that she has miraculously survived. However, the €2 million make her smile and remind her that she has a wonderful opportunity to escape and start life anew. And with that, the film ends. Thank you for watching until the end.